Alright, in this video, let's cover 3.1D, domain and range of continuous graphs. But in this video, I'm going to answer the essential question, how do I find domain and range of continuous graphs with infinite intervals? So, you were introduced to continuous graphs in 3.1C, but they had starting and ending points. So what happens if one or both of the graph's endpoints go on forever in either direction? So let's remember our interval notation. Okay, so parenthesis means not included or not equal to, which would also be an open circle. A bracket means included or equal to a closed circle. Remember, negative infinity, positive infinity, from left to right. From bottom to top would be negative on the bottom, positive on the top, okay? Only have one endpoint. You're going to do less than or equal to, and then you're going to have your negative infinity and your value. If it's negative infinity to indicate the direction, you're going to use greater than or equal to, greater than, x, and then the value. Always use parentheses next to infinity. We never use brackets with infinity. So let's look at what we're talking about. So let's start with A. So we have an open circle on the 4, which means we're going to use parentheses. Going to use the number 4. Now, that arrow indicates that it's going to go on forever in the right direction, which would be infinity. We have to use parentheses with infinity. So, example B, instead of a parentheses, we're going to use a bracket. We're still going to use the 4 and infinity with parentheses. Now, in example C, the area is going in the opposite direction. It's going towards the left. So, I'm going to use parentheses, negative infinity. The 4 is not included, so I'm going to use a parentheses, second parentheses, to close it up. Example D, again, going in the negative infinity direction, I have to use parentheses, negative infinity, but this time the 4 is an included value, meaning I must use the bracket. Closed circuits go with brackets. So let's review this one more time. Remember, domain are your inputs or your x values. Okay. Range are your outputs or your y values. Okay. A line or curve connected. So that's what a continuous graph is. Example, state the domain and range using interval notation. Identify if the relationship is a function. So we have this end down here that goes on and on and on. Okay? So let's figure this out. First with domain and then with range. Remember, domain is in relation to the x-axis. Okay? So here is where it's going to start. And that's my right side. And it's going to be my parentheses. So on the right side, I'm going to have a 2 here with the parentheses. But on the left side, it's going down, but it's also going to the left forever and ever and ever and ever. So I'm going to have a negative infinity. So yes, it is going down, but it's also going to this direction forever and ever and ever. All right? So negative infinity. Let me make that look more like an infinity sign. There we go. Okay? Now the range. Remember, I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to go to the top. So, again, this point here is going to be my range top also. So here is the top of where it hits the Y. So slide your finger over, and that's even with the 0. So remember, when I'm going from the bottom to the top, the 0 is going to be the top. And it's an open circle, so it's not included. Now, the line is going down, 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 down forever. So the left is going to be the negative infinity. Okay. Function or not a function? Yes, it is a function. I could draw a vertical line test. My x values are not repeating. All right, so let's try this next one. So left to right. Well, here on the left, I'm going to use a bracket, right? And remember, domain is x-axis, range is y-axis. All right, so on the x-axis, my domain using a bracket is going to start at -1. And then on the right, there's 2, right, that are going to go to the right forever and ever and ever and ever. So I'm going to use infinity and a parentheses, because you always use parentheses with infinity. So the range. All right, so let's see. So I have this one that's going up forever, and I have this one that's going down forever. All right, forever and ever and ever. So my range is going to go from -infinity to infinity. And no, it is not a function. X values do repeat. All right. So let's look at number 3. Let's do 3 and 4, and I'm going to leave 5 and 6 for you. All right, so state the domain and range using interval notation. So remember, domain is x-axis. So where are the numbers along this axis? And range is y-axis. So where does it match up along this axis? All right. So in this example, let's look at what our and is it a function or not? Well, this one is a function. Okay, it's going to pass a vertical line test. But let's figure out what our function is doing. Well, it's going up, up, up forever, but it's also at the same time going to the right forever. And it's going down, 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 down forever, and also it's going to the left forever. Okay? So in this particular case, my left to right is going to be -infinity to infinity, okay? Now it's going down and up forever, so my bottom to my top is also going to be -infinity to infinity. All right, how about number 4? Function or not a function? It is a function. Yes, it would pass a vertical line test. I don't have repeated x values. But let's talk about the domain. In other words, my x-axis. What is it doing on the x-axis? Well, yes, it's going up, but it's also going to the right forever and ever and ever. And on this side, yes, it's going up, but it's also going to the left forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So my domain along the x-axis is going to go from -infinity to +infinity. All right, but what about our range? So let's start at our bottom. So we can clearly see that there's an ending point right here. This is not going on and on forever, is it? So on our y-axis, it is going to be a bracket, and it's going to be at -2. But then the 2 arrows are going up, up, up forever in both directions. So my top of my range is going to be infinity. Have to use parentheses. All right? So now you try number 5, and the line is right here. Don't confuse it with your axes. And try the shape. Okay, try number 6. And let me know what you get, okay? If you have any questions, please let me know.